Okay, so it seems like there's a little bit of an update to do with the Phase Connect situation, which has been going on for the past couple of days now, including people like Jelly Hoshiumi and also as well Kaminari Clara, which of course ended up, she's graduating at the end of the month. And yeah, it was a whole situation. If you guys want to go back and watch the videos that we've made on that, then definitely I recommend checking them out. But in my last video, we essentially covered the fact that some people have been going after, people that Jelly has essentially been following on her other account, right? Which is like her own private, well, not private, personal, not even personal account, like just other account, right? Just non-Phase Connect account. That's all I can really kind of describe it as, right? And people were going after her because, she was following people like Asmongold and Kiyoshi and people like that, which again, some people dislike him and whatever, for whatever reason. And again, it seems like, the same has happened as the other day whenever, Pippa and people had unfollowed people like Asmongold, especially a lot of the Phase Connect members. Well, it seems like it has happened again with obviously what we were talking about, because obviously we covered the post here that where they're essentially saying Jelly's going out of her way to follow these people on her other account. They were going after people she followed like Asmongold and Kiyoshi, and now they essentially said update, she unfollowed all of them except Kiyoshi. Maybe the fishman saw my post. Pippa still follows Grixig though. Fun fact, which again I think is crazy that these people are so, I guess, I don't know, so sad. Right, that they're so sad to the point where they would go after, people like, Jelly here on her other account to go into her followers, right? Because I think it's one thing to, be mad at the statements or whatever she made on the whole Minecraft DLC thing that went on. But I think it's another thing to be going after who she follows. I think it's incredibly cringe to kind of associate guilt with someone because they follow someone. Because people follow people for different reasons, right? I think that is a very obvious case, and I'm sure you do it. I'm sure a lot of people do it, and I do it personally, right? Just because, like, for example, if you guys have seen my Twitter, you've seen how many posts I made on Hassan and how much, I dislike him. I still follow him though, right? Like, I don't like, just following someone doesn't mean you necessarily like their opinions or whatever. Sometimes they are just a big figure in the community, or you want to understand other sides and points of views, or just be up to date with stuff, so you go ahead and follow them. Now, I'm not saying that is the case with Jelly. Like, maybe she does genuinely like Asmongold and Kiyoshi, and that's totally fine as well, right? But of course, I do think it is crazy that people are trying to just go after you for following somebody, right? Like, it's gotten to the point where they've, as I said before in the last video, they got given an inch by Phase Connect with the whole kind of statement that they made on the Jelly post, and now they're taking a mile. They're taking a mile by going after people she's following, and then they take a mile by going after the people she's following on her other account. Like, it's crazy, right? And of course, yeah, now it's gotten to the point where apparently she's unfollowed them, according to Bint here, who obviously has a past, as, Trigger Point says here, of harassing people. He has a past of harassing VTubers, like, relentlessly, and it's pretty horrible to see, and it seems like Jelly has just become his next target, right? It's incredibly cringe. It's incredibly sad and lonely that this person would even do this, right? And there's been cases before where, like, he's made up, like, rumors about, like, random, like, HoloLive talent for, like, reading off, like, something about, like, J.K. Rowling and trying to, like, associate them with some pretty horrible stuff just because they said a quote, which might not even be the case, right? I think it's crazy, and the kind of, like, rumor spreading and this weird, like, kind of, I guess, going after people mentality, just, it's just like kind of unemployed behavior, right? And of course it does affect people that are kind of involved in it, including Jelly and a lot more people too. And obviously they're still trying to, of course, as well, the thing is, right, they will get their way, right? Like, even if they do get their way, they will continue to do it, right? They will continue to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. They're never going to be satisfied with any kind of thing. Like, say, they're saying, like, oh, they're following Asmongold and Kiyoshi and whatever, right? Say she unfollows all of them. They're going to go after the next thing. They go, oh, but you follow this person, or, oh, but you said this, oh, but, this and that. And they will keep pushing, and they'll keep pushing, and they'll keep pushing, and they'll keep pushing, and it won't end. And you can tell that by this one post here. It's very, very obvious. You can see, update. She unfollowed all of them except Kiyoshi, lol. Obviously, they're kind of pushing this to say, they haven't unfollowed Kiyoshi. Weird. They said, maybe Fishman's on my post. Pippa still follows Grixid, though. Fun fact. So again, they're pushing again. Well, that's not good enough. So now we're going to go into the next thing. Well, Pippa's still following Trigger Point. So yeah, let's get her to do that now. And then, of course, you know, if she did end up doing that, then they're going to go, oh, yeah, but this person in FaZe Connect follows this person. So, like, why are they doing that? And then maybe they'll unfollow them and they'll be like, oh, but this person. And that's whenever you got to really, you know, get to the point where it's just like, okay, are we really going to, like, kind of like appease these people that are obviously like weird schizos in the community that are just going after your following lists? Like, let's be real, it's one of the weirdest things ever to go after someone's following list out of everything. Like, sure, if you want to go after them after their statements or something that they've said, right, and you dislike that, I totally understand, right? Sure, okay, fine, go after them. But the thing is, you're going after someone for literally clicking a button on Twitter to follow somebody and to follow some pretty big, I guess, you know, people in the communities that they're in. Obviously, Asmongold, a huge content creator. No matter what you think of his opinions, he's still massive. He's still very, very much prevalent in the internet. And obviously, it makes sense that, you know, he follows them. And as I said in my last video, there are so many people who don't align with his opinions that still follow him, right? Because, of course, he is a big creator and people follow big creators. The same with Kiyoshi as well, right? She's a VTuber, she's a big VTuber, and of course a lot of people follow her that don't necessarily, you know, kind of relate to her opinions, but still follow her, right? But you're not going after all of those other people just because the ball has started rolling with Jelly and a lot of the FaZe Connect members. You're starting to go after them, which I think is, you know, incredibly stupid. And of course, you know, obviously what doesn't help is FaZe Connect also kind of making these statements and, as you know, we said, like bending the knee to these people because obviously they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's just like, oh my god, bro, like when is this going to stop? To the point where there's people, like, for example, over on the subreddit referring to her as Jitler. Like saying like Jelly, and they're saying that she's called Jitler now, which obviously, as you guys can probably tell what that means, right? You guys know who they're referring to whenever they call her that, which again, I think is absolutely crazy. They say, Sheena trying to up the numbers in support of Jelly. I'm not a fan of FaZe that is trying to sweep the tweets under the rug. There's not much I can do about it, but I want to bump the numbers of another song to support the normal girls, which again, I think is crazy. Who said Jitler Lamau? Said, that's legit what Jelly and her chat have been calling herself. She got told to knock it off by management, but it's kept going. So again, it seems like it is like a joke, you know, between like Jelly and her chat, which I think, you know, is okay. I think that's fine, right? I think it's pretty funny, but you know, there are some people that have been using it unironically as well, which I think is pretty insane. That some people actually kind of think in their minds that she's somewhere close to that, and I think that is why it has become a joke, because you know they're trying to refer to her as this person who is like on the level of that person, of that man, which obviously you guys can, you know, guess who that is, which is crazy, all over some random like Twitter like stuff, right? You know, you're not a dictator for following Asmongold on Twitter, I'm gonna be honest. And I think it is pretty insane that these people are still pushing, and you know, they've actually managed, at least from what Bint is saying here, to get them to unfollow Asmongold and people, which obviously was a big thing a couple of days ago with the whole FaZe Connect stuff. Many people are speculating the fact that maybe FaZe Connect were the ones that told their talent to unfollow them, which again could definitely be the case, considering how much they have voiced, you know, the fact that they do like Asmongold's content. So it might have been like a company decision, but now obviously they're going after accounts that aren't associated with FaZe Connect, and you know, doing that as well, which again, I don't know if that was her decision or if it was FaZe Connect saying maybe you should get rid of that because obviously it's going to cause more problems. I don't know, but again, it just seems like these people want to move on, right? But these people just keep on coming back and, you know, trying to ask for more and trying to ask for more and trying to ask for more. It's just crazy that these people, I guess, you know, go this insane about this kind of stuff and continue to push these kind of, I guess, agendas that they really want FaZe Connect and their talents to follow. But obviously FaZe Connect is giving in, but it's just sad. It's sad to see, and it is pretty, as I said, unemployed behavior to really be going through following lists of people, going and not even going through following lists of like their main profile, right? Going through the following lists of like an alt profile. Like, I think it's crazy. Like, does that not sound incredibly weird? Like, it's bad enough going through someone's following list as a whole, right? To try to find, oh, did they follow this person or that person? Like, oh, I could use that, right? But like going into their other account as well to do that, it's just like, oh my god, bro. Like, seriously, what are we doing here? But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this situation. I just kind of wanted to keep you guys up to date with what was going on because I thought it was pretty insane. And yeah, it seems like the situation just keeps on getting pushed further and further by these unhinged weirdos that continue to try and, you know, I guess implicate stuff through people following people, which is, yeah, as I said, ridiculous. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.